And welcome back to Birchwood. And 30 years of democracy in South Africa, assessing how we fared 30 years on in terms of ensuring that the people of South Africa actually get to realize the constitutional rights and the human rights enshrined in our constitution. And I'm joined now by Advocate Andy Mothibi, who is, of course, the head of the Special Investigating Unit, the SIU. Advocate Mothibi, good to see you, and thanks for allowing us to grab you, because I think it's so important that we speak to you, especially when we talk about human rights and the impact of corruption in terms of the government's ability to deliver.
Yes. No, thank you. Thank you, Sakina, and good morning to the viewers at home. Corruption is undoubtedly an affront on human rights or attainment of human rights. Why do we say so? If you look really at the provision of the National Development Plan, which envisages a corruption-free society, I think the timeline there is 2030, and also the National Anti-Corruption Strategy that has really been brought to line to support the objectives of the Constitution and also the Development Plan. Now, if you look at the past 30 years, which we really are here to really take stock of in terms of various attainment of human rights, corruption cannot not be focused at, because we know that through corruption there has been a disablement of government machinery to deliver on various of the human rights. What comes to mind now in terms of all those rights that could have been fully attained had it not been for corruption? The right to clean running water, and that comes to mind always. If you look at the example of Giyani, right? We investigated quite at length the services that should have been provided there to ensure that ultimately the community of Giyani ends up with clean, running, drinkable water. But to date, we're still really struggling to ensure that they really attain those rights to access clean water. But, of course, on our side is to ensure that those who are responsible, as we always say, should be held to account, and we are busy with that. We've got a big case going on in the High Court of Limpopo, 3.5 billion of all those service providers who did not deliver as requested. The officials who were colluding with the service providers have been identified and have been taken through disciplinary process. That's one example. The other example, Sakina, you would really agree that the public has really expected that the national lotteries, should provide the communities with various, enablement to live appropriately and to ensure that they attain their rights. Those who really live in despicable conditions, those monies were meant to improve, their rights to shelter, their rights to, some other conditions that they really deserve. But you would have noticed that through corruption, through corrupt acts, that those monies that were meant to ensure that they improve the lives of the communities were used by the corrupt to ensure that they end up not doing what they were supposed to do, right? What other example can I cite? NSFAS, for example, right? The right to education by everyone, in particular, the young and the youth. You would have seen that, the maladministration and the corrupt activities in that space have really denied some of the qualifying students that they really should be enabled to get education. But overall, the assessment that's going to be done from today, 19th and 20th, we really look forward to ensuring that how is it that we can improve the services of government overall to ensure that we enable the South African community to attain those human rights that are envisaged in the Constitution. Specifically on the anti-corruption machinery, we need all of us as the Justice, Crime Prevention and Security Cluster to also say, how do we sit back, looking 30 years back, how do we improve the integrated crime strategy, how do we execute it, anti-corruption strategy, how do we execute it to ensure that in the next 30 years, the rights and the human rights of the South African public are fully attained.
So very interestingly, when I saw you, I quickly ran through the program, and because I thought you would be on the program, given the scourge of corruption in our nation. And then I asked you, because I couldn't locate you on the program,
right.
And you said to me, well, perhaps not in that way, but I would have imagined that corruption would have been one of the features that would be sharply focused on at a conference like this, given the impact that it's had on the non-delivery in some instances of basic human rights.
Yeah. No, thank you for that question. I mean, the fact that we have been invited, and thanks to my colleague, the DG and the Minister, to ensuring that as anti-corruption agencies, in particular Special Investigating Unit, is also present here. That is a clear indication that, amongst others, corruption as a subject should also receive attention, and we are going to ensure that it also receives attention in the fact that we need to look at the impact, at the negative impact that is of corruption over the 30 years, how it has denied communities to attain human rights, and how is it that we are repositioning the anti-corruption machinery, the anti-corruption strategy execution to ensure that we enable government in general to attain the human rights of the South African public.
Advocate Mothibi, thank you so much, and looking forward to hearing what Advocate Mothibi will have to share with the conference. And as Advocate Mothibi says, yes, he has been invited, but I would have imagined that along with the Statistician General, for example, once we've looked at the stats, it would have been interesting to look at the corruption figures as well, as it pertains to some of the topics that will be under discussion here regarding education, human settlements, water, and the like. So all of that, of course, will be discussed over the next 3 days here at the Birchwood Conference Centre. President Cyril Ramaphosa expected to deliver the keynote address at around 10:30. Quite a few messages from the United Nations before that, which would be very interesting as well, considering South Africa's protection not only of our domestic human rights, but of human rights of people internationally. So it's going to be interesting to hear from some of the representatives from the United Nations as well. And of course, the SABC team is out here, and they will be making sure that we are kept up to speed with the developments here at this 3-day conference of human rights in South Africa 30 years on. It's back to studio.